Summer is here, and while you deserve some well-earned PTO and family time, staying up to date on nutrition doesn't have to take a vacation. Introducing Summer Shorts, a mini-series from the Exam Room Nutrition Podcast. This summer, each episode will tackle a single nutrition question in under 15 minutes, giving you the latest insights you need without sacrificing those summer cookouts. So grab your sunglasses and join me, Colleen Sloan, for our summer learning with Summer Shorts. Now be sure to hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. What's the deal with eggs? Are they good? Are they bad? Do they impact my cholesterol levels? And how many can I eat? Shout out to Jen, a cardiology PA, who sent me this question. Now, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer on the podcast, there are so many ways you can connect with me. You can send me an email at colleen@examroomnutrition.com or a DM on Instagram at examroomnutrition, or fill out the form in the show notes below, and I would be happy to feature your question on my podcast. Now, since eggs, and more specifically, the role of dietary cholesterol on lipid levels, have been debated for more than half a century, I figured it would be a great topic for this week's Summer Shorts. So today, I'll unpack the nutrition profile of eggs, the cholesterol concerns, and the current evidence-based recommendations. By the end of today's episode, you'll know exactly how to answer your patient when they ask if they can eat eggs and just how many. Let's start with a refresher on cholesterol. Now, there are two types: dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol. Sources of dietary cholesterol include eggs, shellfish like shrimp and lobster, high-fat meat, liver, butter, full-fat dairy products, and processed meats like sausage, burgers, and hot dogs. Baked goods are also high in cholesterol when they are made with eggs, butter, or cream. The current dietary guidelines for Americans suggest keeping dietary cholesterol consumption, quote, as low as possible without compromising the nutritional adequacy of the diet, end quote. So, although this gives patients some wiggle room, the lack of specificity isn't very helpful in clinical practice. Previous federal guidelines recommend that healthy individuals limit consumption of dietary cholesterol to 300 milligrams per day and 200 milligrams for those who have risk factors for heart disease. However, as science emerges, we now know that it is more important to focus on reducing foods high in saturated fats, trans fats, and added sugars than to solely focus on dietary cholesterol if we're trying to lower blood cholesterol levels. The biggest influence on blood cholesterol levels is the mix of fats and carbohydrates in your patient's diet, not solely the amount of cholesterol eaten from food. Our body needs cholesterol as the starting point to make estrogen, testosterone, vitamin D, and to build cell membranes. But not all blood cholesterol is created equal. Cholesterol travels through your bloodstream in packages called lipoproteins, and there are two main players, LDL and HDL. LDL, and we describe them as, quote, bad cholesterol to our patients, carry cholesterol from the liver to the rest of the body. Cells latch onto these particles and extract fat and cholesterol from them. When there's too much LDL cholesterol in the blood, it builds up in arteries, leading to plaque formation and increasing risk of heart attack or stroke. And on the flip side, HDL, or the, quote, good cholesterol, are like the garbage trucks of the bloodstream. They help remove excess cholesterol from the bloodstream and bring it back to the liver for disposal. Triglycerides are another type of fat in the blood. While they're essential for transporting fat to cells, high levels can contribute to heart disease risk, especially when combined with low HDL and high LDL. Now, although cholesterol in blood comes from the foods we eat, most of the cholesterol in our body is made by our liver. The liver is stimulated to make cholesterol primarily by saturated fat and trans fat and refined carbohydrates in our diet, not necessarily dietary cholesterol. Now, if you'd like to go deeper into cholesterol levels and heart health, check out episode 38 called Love Your Heart to listen to my conversation with a cardiac registered dietitian. I'll link to that in the show notes as well. So that brings us back to our topic for the day, eggs. Now, eggs are a remarkably nutrient-dense food, offering a wide array of essential vitamins and minerals. A single large egg provides about 6 grams of protein and 72 calories, 1.5 grams of saturated fat, and 180 milligrams of cholesterol. They also contain choline, which is vital for fetal brain and spinal cord development, vitamins A, D, E, and K, and iodine, which is especially important for pregnant women for neurocognitive development of the fetus. Now, the debate surrounding eggs and cholesterol stems from the fact that egg yolks contain dietary cholesterol. Historical dietary guidelines suggest that we limit eggs to 3 per week due to concerns about its impact on blood cholesterol levels. However, current research has given us some nuance when providing recommendations. So the current evidence suggests that moderate egg consumption, which is up to 1 egg per day, does not significantly elevate blood cholesterol levels in most healthy individuals. In general, egg intake was not significantly associated with cardiovascular disease risk. There was a meta-analysis of prospective cohort studies published through August 2016 that reported that high egg consumption, which is more than 7 eggs per week, was associated with a significantly lower risk of stroke compared with low egg intake, which is less than 1 egg a week. So, do eggs raise the risk of heart disease? Several U.S. cohorts and cohorts from Sweden, Iran, and Finland showed no significant association between egg intake and coronary heart disease. However, among individuals with type 2 diabetes, 2 U.S. studies reported an association with coronary heart disease, whereas 1 study did not. When discussing eggs with your patient, I think the more important thing to consider is what are they eating with their eggs? This matters greatly. A common American breakfast is rich in saturated fat found from the butter, cheese, bacon, sausage, muffins, or scones. These foods raise blood cholesterol levels much more than the cholesterol in the egg. And the highly refined carbs that we all love, found in white toast, pastries, home fries, and hash browns, may also increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, and other cardiovascular diseases. So why has the science and recommendations changed in the first place? Now, traditionally, nutrition science often examined individual nutrients in isolation. This led to a singular focus on components like cholesterol, overlooking the broader dietary context. However, a paradigm shift is occurring. We now understand that the impact of a single nutrient is deeply intertwined with overall dietary patterns. What we consume over days, weeks, and even years significantly influences our biological markers and health outcomes. This holistic perspective underscores the importance of assessing the entire dietary landscape rather than just focusing on isolated foods. So, if eggs don't impact cholesterol levels that much, what does? While cholesterol does play a role, focusing on replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats yields far more substantial reductions in LDL cholesterol levels. This is where your patient education should focus. So if you're multitasking, come back to me. This aligns with recommendations from 2 federal organizations. First, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends limiting saturated fat to less than 10%, and the American Heart Association goes even further to recommend limiting it to 7% of daily calories. So to help your patient reduce their saturated fat intake, you can suggest that they reduce sugary treats by consuming smaller portions and eating these foods less often, or they can choose a piece of fruit instead. Suggest they cook from home more often with a focus on fruits, vegetables, and lean meats, focusing on healthy sources of fat from foods like seafood like salmon, trout, herring, tuna, consuming walnuts, almonds, cashews, and most other nuts, sesame, pumpkin, and flax seeds, and avocados. Suggest that they cook and purchase products made with oils higher in polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fat rather than butter, shortening, coconut, or palm oils. Now, before you have a panic attack and tell me that seed oils are toxic or inflammatory, I've got a full episode coming in the fall that breaks down these claims and helps us truly understand seed oils and their effect on our bodies. So stay tuned for that. This is a great time to remind you to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a hot topic like seed oils. So instead of fixating on specific nutrient targets like dietary cholesterol, it's far more effective to guide patients toward heart-healthy overall eating patterns. Rather than obsessing over individual foods, help your patient prioritize a heart-healthy diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. Focusing on reducing saturated fat intake and increasing fiber consumption is far more impactful than limiting egg consumption. Sadly, only 5% of men and 9% of women are getting the recommended daily amount of dietary fiber. I would start there and not worry so much about how many eggs your patient is eating. I would ensure that they are getting 25 to 35 grams of fiber every day. Do that, and they'll be well on their way to optimal cholesterol levels. Now, after all that information, I know your patient is still going to ask you, well, how many eggs can I have? Patients love specific numbers. So here you go. Healthy individuals can include up to a whole egg or equivalent daily. A 3-ounce serving of shrimp is equivalent to about a whole egg. Shrimp and other shellfish can be incorporated into a heart-healthy dietary pattern when paired with other lean or plant-based protein sources. Vegetarians who do not consume meat-based cholesterol-containing foods may include more dairy and eggs in their diets when consumed within moderation. Now, patients with dyslipidemia, especially those with diabetes or at risk for heart failure, should be cautious in consuming foods rich in cholesterol. This includes eggs. For older patients with normal cholesterol levels, given the nutritional benefits, convenience, and affordability of eggs, consumption of up to 2 eggs per day is acceptable if they also follow a heart-healthy dietary pattern. Now, what about hyper-responders? These are individuals who are more sensitive to dietary cholesterol and experience extreme increases in LDL cholesterol. People who experience an increase of more than 2.2 milligrams per deciliter in plasma cholesterol for every 100 milligrams of dietary cholesterol are considered hyperresponders, which is about 1/3 of the population. For these types of responders, avoiding cholesterol-rich foods can have a substantial effect on blood cholesterol levels. Now, unfortunately, at this point, there is no way other than by trial and error to identify responders from non-responders to dietary cholesterol. So getting screening lipid levels on your patients is crucial to providing personalized nutrition recommendations. Now, there's another type of hyperresponder that I wanted to mention, and they're known as lean mass hyperresponders. People with the LMHR phenotype experience extreme increases in LDL cholesterol when they follow a carbohydrate-restricted diet like the ketogenic diet. LMHRs often have high HDL cholesterol and low triglycerides and are often lean and really healthy. They may have LDL cholesterol levels of 200 or higher, HDL cholesterol of 80 or higher, and triglyceride levels of 70 or lower. So if you have a young, fit patient who's got cholesterol levels that don't make sense, they may be a lean mass hyperresponder, and you would need to provide specific dietary recommendations for them or refer them to a registered dietitian who can help you. So let's recap. To answer our original question, do eggs raise cholesterol levels? The answer, as always, is, say it with me, it depends. While eggs were once demonized, current evidence suggests that most people can safely enjoy up to 6 or 7 eggs per week without significantly affecting their cholesterol levels. Remember, the power lies in the pattern, not the precise numbers. By emphasizing a diverse and balanced diet, we can significantly improve our patients' cardiovascular health. All right, my friend, that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. As a reminder, wear your sunscreen, drink your water, and eat more fiber. I'll see you next week for another Summer Shorts.